Stanford, and again, remember I'm on Madison Avenue, $50,000 is a going-in price to take a really serious look at somebody. $15,000, I think you're probably looking at a very heavily weighted database research, which is a very, very useful and a basic underlining part of any investigative reporting work. But you really have to get out and tweak it. The one thing that I read in the article that I thought, and also looked at those documents, was that they looked at the company, but didn't look at the person.
Oh, so Kroll investigated company, not Stanford himself.
And the report, which is attached, is more about the company and not about Stanford. And I think you have to look at the principles, because there's a little lawsuit that came from this.
But Jack, the lawsuit is the point here, because one of the major investors in this firm just hired Kroll to vet Alan Stanford, who Stanford had hired himself. So the reason for the lawsuit is the guy is suing because he lost, whatever, $6 billion. How do you protect yourself in a case like this? And should you be hired to do one job, you know, with dual purpose like that?
I use it as a teaching tool, this particular case.
Really?
Okay. Which is, look, someone comes in, because there's a problem you have in the private sector that we didn't have so much in the public sector at times, and that is they come in and say, look, I only want to spend $15,000, and I want all of this. And, you know, if it's one of those months where the budget's running low, you say, well, I'll do it. And it's a mistake, because you're going to do it, you're going to give them a certain product that's going to be substandard. You really have to hold the line and say, look, you want me to do this? I have to do all of this.
But you're not protected. You could be sued, right?
I could be sued on every report I write. That's why I want to hold the line and make sure that I am authorized and funded to provide the information that the client's requesting. The reason I like the business I'm in this regard isn't much different than the business I was in CIA, which is get me information, validate that information, stand by that information, and take the consequences. The difference, and one of the things you learn quickly in the private sector, as many of you know, is if you're wrong, the results are immediate and accountable. You're fired or sued.
Are there things you can do that the CIA can't?
There is a world out there, and I've talked to my colleagues, and having been on the other side of the table, I know when their eyes gloss over, and I know mine would have glossed over as well. And I sat with one of your predecessors and a couple of his team, and they took copious notes. I know when I left the room, they threw it in the trash, and they thought I was trying to sell some product to them, which I wasn't. There is a world out there of talent and investigative skills that is huge. People that leave all the foreign services and that leave the police, and people that are journalists, not in the United States, of course, but that are out there and available to collect information. And I have everything from psychiatrists to record pullers. And how you get in and swim in that water is not rocket science. How you utilize it is a different matter. There are things that I can do that I don't think the agency do because of its official position. What do I mean? In Russia and China, it would be very hard for the agency to conduct surveillance or to request certain types of information. It's
from the intelligence, from the secret services.
From the holders of information.
Okay.
Okay. And in the private sector, that actually can be done. I was asked once, and I thought it was the most challenging. I've always been intrigued by how quickly a very difficult task seems to be manageable. I didn't execute it, so I want to be very careful, but someone came to me and asked if we could do a surveillance in Iran. I thought, oh my God, I put my CIA, Iran.
Iraq.
Iran.
Iran, okay. Right.
Iraq's easy. I mean, in that regard, yeah, okay? It's in some ways,
a denied area, then.
A denied area. And it's interesting how you can put these things together. And it's awkward. I'm telling you, it's a different proposition inside, and I understand it. But there is a rich world of capabilities out there that I think is not well enough understood at that point. I think there is a growing awareness to it. Look, the agency has immense capabilities. You know, people say, well, who's the best server that's as good as anyone else? And Mike can attest to this. There's nobody that gets close